as states of mind, each state of mind is a unique context. It's a playground within its own self and an experience of dynamic relating that is completely different from a higher state of mind and context. And this by far, that's why causes all the confusion. For example, for the Kali Yuga and Dwapar Yuga state of mind, the awareness that we are as consciousness is playing at a denser level, and perception, understanding, interpretation, the choices and the way that consciousness is being, doing, living, experiencing, expressing, all of that is born from the identity. And therefore, as a doer, it will do. And it is through doing that we experience as if coming into more awareness. So for the Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga state of mind, to kind of hold the concept of not do, actually then ends up becoming resistance. This question, this was coming up in a conversation, especially because once we are and we are living the highest truth, one way is to just state that and just be there, right? Like we have heard many of the teachers just saying the non-dual truth. The other way is that when we really realize that life meets life exactly where it is, and therefore every response arises naturally as a result of the question, which arises from the context, the state of mind. So it is not as much about stating the highest truth, it is more about, this is what I find always in the channeling sessions, there may be a higher truth. But when you become one with the question that is arising in a particular context, the response that arises meets the question right where it is. And sometimes that's why the answer is perfect response for the question that's being asked. So this was coming up, and especially with contexts, I really want to state, because this causes so much confusion, right? Do I not do? All of that. So to remember this, right, that every context, state of identity is a level of awareness, vibration, that allows for certain level of sensing. So to give you practically, right, so let's talk about Dwapar Yuga, when we are identified as a person. When we are identified as a person, and this outer world, whatever you want to call reality, naturally is much more bigger and seems like as if it is functioning apart from us, right? As if there's something happening outside, completely independent of that which I am, right? So this is where we give our power away. So when we are identified as this, the power of faith is huge, right? The call to faith. The power of hope is big, very big, yeah? Because when we feel into hope at that time, it allows us to continue. When we feel into faith, we know we don't know, but that's okay, because there's a higher power, right? That's what faith is. It allows the body to sense, be unshakable, let's say, right? Even when we believe we are smaller. And the power of trust. The power of trust again is like faith looking at something higher. When we awaken to I am life as true self, and no matter where you are, always being true to where we are, but the play of sensing of this is to kind of sense and see these spaces, because we're never ever sensing anything outside of us. All is consciousness, right? When we are awake as I am life, and that there is nothing outside of me, the same hope, faith and trust that was so big, right, for us, like the highest stance that we could take, actually becomes the lowest stance. What does that mean? You know, as the true self, when we know we are life, all is that which I am. I am the living power. Then to hope for something is to put something outside of me. To look outside and think that it may happen, may not happen. To have faith in something that is as if outside of me is to believe that there is a higher power that is independent of that which I am. And trust, you know, this is the thing about trust that I say. Every definition of every word, that's why words, we have to be very careful in the sense that they don't mean the same thing for each one of us. In some sense. When we bring in even the concept of trust, right? Trust can only exist when there are two. That is only when the arising of the concept of trust itself comes. When then there is only one, there is no trust needed. Only I am. Being. Period. And what I am will be. Is. Not even will. Because there's no past, future, none of that. That is the power of the I am. The Om. Isness. What I am is. The what is that the Dwapar Yuga sees as isness, as if it is outside. Naturally so. It is set up that way. Because as the Dwapar Yuga, duality, we are identified with the body, 5 senses. What is the nature of 5 senses? Subject, object. There's things happening outside of me that have the power to affect me. The experiencing of what is determined by the as, what I am. That is why no two people experience exactly the same way. It's all determined by the level of awareness. And one way to play with this, that's why, is to take radical self-responsibility, right? Ultimately, that's why we say personal responsibility does not exist. Every state of mind within its playground dynamics has the ability at the level of its awareness to respond. Responsibility based on your level of awareness. Wherever, all is consciousness. And that's where the beauty of holding the paradox of primarily knowing that I am consciousness. You know, I am currently just swimming the waters. We are in the witch season, okay? It's autumn, it's fall. And it's just been flowing like about crows and the divine feminine and what is the essence of what was labeled as the witch, right? The mystical aspect of us, to be a magician, to be a sorceress, to be all of that which lies beyond what is obvious, right? This is the season for that, right? That's why we've deepened into the feminine phase. This is the feminine phase of the Dakshinayana, right? And right now, when I was doing the video, the reason I mentioned this is because just had a grackle come and sit right here on top, looking at me. You know, the outer is constantly reflecting that which we are. But how do we know? The sensing of what calls our attention is that knowing. Is that knowing. And I want to come back to trust. That's why for the personal mind that doubts, say trust. as you deepen into trusting, that resonance starts to see. And that's why we say everything still looks the same, but that which calls to the eye starts to change. We start to see deeper. We clearly know when the outer is the divine's message speaking something directly to us. That's not something that can come from the outside as if independent, right? Like the personal things. It's constant, the play of karma as synchronicity, it's like constant showing, reflecting back. It's a beautiful way of playing. But coming back to this, right, is the fact that two contexts, every state of mind, that's why, is a play of reality, beingness. That's why self is reality, is the experiencing of reality. There is no independent reality as of outside. Right? How we experience it is determined by our vibration, nature of mind, the quality with which we are sensing it. That's why it's very different. So for the personal mind, when we come into taking, seeing the neutrality of everything, I'm consciousness already. This allows us to explore whatever we are called to explore and live as just pure play, divine play. I always share this in the questions, when they come forth. There is a different quality of questioning. Observe your questioning or any space that you step into when it comes from that sensing of wanting to know whether it is right or wrong. Is this true? Is this false? Is this right? Is this wrong? That is the personal self. It doesn't understand that there is no true or false at the level of this play. Because mind allows for experiencing, which is all like dreams. That's why we call it illusions. This play of this is truth, this is fact. Yes, every state of consciousness that is vibrating will experience that which it is as if it's a fact. But another who is experiencing a different state of consciousness, their facts are completely different. What changes? Nothing. Simply the state of mind, nature, the ability to sense. So what is true for one context, state of consciousness, state of mind, is not true for another. At the relative level, it appears to be in hierarchy. But see, as consciousness, everything is equanimous. And this is where, when we are exploring, there is this beauty that really allows for us to play and be free like children. And that allows for the bringing forth of the highest knowledge. Highest knowledge. Why? Because our primary thing is I'm already consciousness. We're not holding on to knowing that one truth or having a particular experience. No. That's a small play. I'm already consciousness. Period. Just to surmise that, right? And then it's so different than the flavor of your exploration, because it's arising from pure joy, pure contentment, fulfillment already. That knowingness. And it's a playfulness with your own divine self as if it is outside, right? As long as consciousness is appearing as the body and there is an outside. Like it's almost like I see you, I see you, I see me, I see me, I see me. I am me, So as a true self, that's why when we hope, or when we think of faith, or when we think of trust, we've moved into linear time. Because what is trust, Trust dissolves when you timelessly are with what is arising. I don't know if you can see, but here you go. So she called me, so I had to step out. So many messages coming through. I can't wait to share in the video about the symbolic nature of the crow, the witch, and the mystical aspects of that which we are, And again, sensing it lightly, right? Because how we sense it, anything, any definitions that we hold, any story that we live is determined by the nature of mind. So coming back to, I don't know where I was, but it's trust. As long as, and that's why this confusion that happens, right? The key point being that is why what is stated for one state of mind and consciousness, and what is true, what one may say is true, or what is stated for a different state of context or mind, like for example the Dwapar Yuga state where we are identified with the body, versus what is true for the true self. They are two distinct, different contexts and states. While doing is very helpful in the pathway for the Dwapar Yuga state of mind, being, that automatically brings forth the appearance of doing. There's no difference between being and doing for the true self. All expression, whether it's silent or words, are one and the same. We don't stand as the personal self in the middle, breaking the flow of life into two, good, bad, pure, impure. That doesn't happen. It's simply timeless meeting of what is. So the being, doing dissolves, all this paradox dissolves as the true self. The paradox is there only for the one who is being the paradox. It can be very helpful. So that's why, to take it, right? Any words that are needed are only for the Dwapar Yuga state of mind. The true self doesn't need any of these. So, primarily your consciousness. I am is all there is. Whether it is seen, perceived or not, sensed or not, that is all there is. And at the relative level, of course, every state of consciousness is nature, has a distinct nature. It's a playground with its own dynamics, its way of perceiving. The minute the I, consciousness as an I, identity is always the center, is vibrating as that is what will be perceived, that is all that will be sensed, and from that will come the interpretation, the choices. The doing arises from the state of being. Simply phenomena, that's why. Very important, that's why this is where it always comes down to, and it can be the biggest thing which I always say is that as if there is somebody standing apart doing something. It's all phenomena, it's simply happening. The only one that is and is living is consciousness. It veils itself, right? That's why we say unconsciousness is an illusion, because the nature of consciousness is conscious in that sense. But it veils itself so that it can play these different levels of awareness and taste. That's why for it, from our true self perspective, that's why all emotions then become equanimous. And we can then hold at the relative level what that emotion is coming up in response for and as. That can be sensed. But then there is no rejection of it, denying of it, suppression of it, all of that. Yeah? So every context, there are two different contexts. So I really want to come back to this point, which I really say. That's why for the Dwapar Yuga, we say trust, we say have faith, hope. It's the highest. It's the letting go. That allows the body-mind identity, when we are at that level, to let go. Yeah, there's something bigger than me, I just hand it off. That is what we were playing as, right? That's where all the religion thing comes from. That is where all these, do the ritual. Do it. Because that allows you to let go. Do whatever you want. But as a true self, when we hope, or we trust, or we pray, or anything that we're putting things outside of us, having faith, we've broken ourselves into two. So that's the lowest rung, one may say. Right? So then there's no praying, there's no hoping, there's no asking. This game of asking, the question and answer dissolves. You simply be. Right? And even before the question arises, the answer is already there, because consciousness is the answer. True self is the answer. So being very true to sensing this in a way, because there's no judgment. Wherever we find ourselves is perfect. Okay, it's perfect. Because we are consciousness. We've chosen this. So, not playing into the hierarchy, because you often hear this, right? Somebody's ahead, somebody's behind. Yes, at the relative level, it appears like that. But it's not. And in fact, dissolving of that hierarchy, we realize we already are. So it is only the limited mind that sees it, right? Plays a part. So, yeah, that's it. That we are right now, again, in the feminine phase of Dakshinayana, deeper time, stay within. This time, nature is already vibrating at a point where its flow allows for the deepest of sensing, for dissolution, for the body. The body is nature, right? All of this is nature. The flow is like that. The letting go of the leaves, the falling of the leaves allows for the falling away or seeing of the limited beliefs, that which we are done with playing with. So allow for that. Nothing but just be. Just be present here now. Be light. When we know we are consciousness, and this is what I keep saying, because the questions come from that, right? Do I do that? That momentum is there, and which is fine. But just are. Then there's almost the state of, I don't need to do. It'll arise from me. I'm just going to be and see and enjoy how everything is appearing to play out. That's all. Much love to living and celebrating an awakened body, mind, world.